Khalil Gibran in The Prophet wrote, "When you work, you are a flute, through whose heart the whispering of the hours turns to music." And what is it to work with love? It is to weave the cloth with threads drawn from your heart, even as if your beloved were to wear that cloth. Isn't that beautiful? That's a perfect description of bliss. When you're doing what you love, when you're in it, when you can feel that creativity and that love flowing through your arms and out through your hands or however you work, through your voice, through your words, whatever you do, through massage, through helping someone, through healing someone, or through being a mother and mothering your child. No one else can do what you do the way you do it. No one. No one. And that brings me to my yard. So when I started my gardening project, I had I had a lot to get done. And in the past, I would usually do yard work on Saturday mornings and just power through as much as I possibly could. And I did that for years. In fact, every year up until now. Um, and as much as I enjoyed it, which I did enjoy being out there, it was more like a chore because I had to do as much as possible. It had hard edges to it, right? I need to get this done. It has to look better. I got to do it today. And I'm going to stay out here as long as I possibly can and do it. And that is not very, um, in the long run, very enjoyable. It just isn't. And really and truly, in the long run, I was cheating myself because it really is a pleasure to go out and work in the yard and plant seeds and pull weeds and do whatever it is. I took the joy out of it because I was so on a schedule. And I've all, that's me. I'm very organized and I like to do things in order and I like to get things done and I stick to it when I start something. And that's just great sometimes, but not always. Not always. And I think what another big lesson, a big realization is that I can do more than one thing. You know, like I can garden and I can then go in and be online for the rest of the day into the evening. It's like it takes the either or aspect out of it. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but that was a big part of it. So this year, somehow I was just inspired to do it during the week and do it in the early mornings, which I always at least started in the early morning, and just work for 2 hours. Give myself 2 hours. And I realized it is quiet and peaceful after everyone's gone to work, and setting a timer for 2 hours was absolutely perfect because I accomplished what I could in that period of time, put my tools away, went in, took a shower, got ready, and got online for calls. And it was all very harmonious. It just worked harmoniously. And interestingly enough, even though working for a short period of time and having a big project, I felt a sense of accomplishment because in that period of time, I did what I could do and I was also detached. So what was left to do would be done the next day or would at least be worked on the next day. And this was massive projects, massive progress, I should say, in the way in the way I looked at this. And I also, I think this year, decided not to take the success or lack of success of what I planted personally. And that's a big deal for me. That's a big deal. So I was able to just be there when I was there and enjoy it completely. And it took almost 3 weeks to get it all done. But aside from Scott's help with the pergola and the stuff that I mentioned earlier, I did it myself. And that felt just wonderful. And it was hard work and I felt it in my body, but it was so rewarding. And I have always loved to do physical work because you see the result of your efforts. That to me is fantastic. And this project made me feel like I'm getting back to myself. And I really like that. Just doing what needs to be done, figuring it out. If there's absolutely something I cannot do, I can ask for help. But, but I can do it for the most part on my own. And I did, and I had the time and attention to devote to it. And I got the most out of it because I broke it up into those smaller segments. And while I was doing it, I was totally in it. I was totally in it. I was in my bliss and I just enjoyed it. When my timer went off to go in, I was like, "Oh," but I didn't push it. And then of course there were a couple of days where I just had to work a little longer because I needed to get the bulbs and the seeds planted after I got the beds put together. But it just ended up being a very balanced and productive way to work the whole thing. Working in the yard and having kind of a little bit of a high from accomplishing something and then going in and being online for calls. It was harmonious. It just worked. It's hard to explain, but it worked really well. So the big stuff is done now. It's the beds are planted and now it's maintenance. Now it's time to go back out and start over. Here's my circle. Start over in the front, pulling weeds, getting more stuff done out there in the established beds, um, and then waiting to see what's going to grow in the beds that I planted. And it's a fun experiment. That's the other thing. I'm looking at it as an experiment. I have a good friend who's an avid gardener, and she told me that's what gardening is, an experiment. So have that. Boy, that's permission, isn't it? To realize it's an experiment and it's going to go the way it's going to go. It's life. Life goes the way it goes. But um but that was also permission again to just take a step back. I enjoyed doing the work and then I gave it away to all that is. And I keep giving it away so that I can be the observer, the neutral observer, and unattached to the outcome. My biggest realization though, this was it. And it just kept coming, while I was working. My biggest realization was that every aspect of that project, from the inspiration to do it, the ideas of how to do it, and the materials to do it with, including every grain of soil, every seed, every detail, was not only given to me by God, but was God. Everything. God is everything. Tat Vam Asi, that art thou. That, capital THAT, bold letters, being another name for God, for source, for all that is. Eknath Easwaran wrote, this tremendous equation, the self is Brahman, is the central discovery of the Upanishads. Its most famous formulation is Tattvam Asi. You are that. That, quote unquote, is the characteristic way the Upanishads point to a reality that cannot be described God. And you, of course, is not the petty, finite personality, but that pure consciousness which makes the eye see and the mind think. The self, capital S. So that, and I've just been meditating on that. Like I said, letters, bold. That covers everything. Think about it. How many times in a day do we use that word? That word. It covers everything. I am that. So when you're working on something and you need an idea, I am that. And in saying that, it opens up. It's the only way I can say it. Consciousness opens up. That's how I experience it. I am that. What is it that you need? What is it that you want? What is it that you have to do? I am that. Whatever it is, whatever I need to include the topic and source materials for a teaching segment like this one, or how to do something, or to find something, solutions to problems, whatever. I am that. And that is supply. It's supply. I can't tell you. I mean, after example of things showing up for me, what I needed. And the idea to do it was God just wanting to make a garden. You know, was God wanting to put together raised beds and fill them with dirt and put in bulbs and seeds and, make and just have the joy of doing that. God is the creator and the enjoyer. We're simply the instruments through which God creates and enjoys. That's not us, but that, the infinite self that I am, is all that is. And, in just pondering that, thinking about that, makes me realize that there really truly is not one grain of sand out of place on this earth. Everything that's happened, and this took me back, this kind of unfolded, made me realize that everything that's happened in my life was just the flow of life. Every mistake I thought I made, everything I thought I could have done better, was just the flow of life. And because we are all interdependent, we are all learning from each other. As Alan Watts says, I don't know who I am without knowing who you are. I didn't know what I needed for my evolution. I still don't. How would I? And I certainly didn't know what other people in my life needed for theirs. And I still don't. We're all evolving because of each other and because of the situations and circumstances of life, which we are creating through cause and effect. It is all a circle that is propelling us forward if we can have it. If we can't have it and we fight it, we suffer because life is never going to cease being life. Everything that's happened in our lives has brought us to this moment. So don't dwell on the past, don't judge it, just have it and be here now, determined to be simply the inlet and outlet of grace. Divine wisdom, divine love, divine supply, that art thou. Just go along with it, and it will inform every moment of your day. It really will. Every moment of your day. And as silly as it sounds, pulling weeds and planting seeds was a wonderful opportunity for expansion. It just made me realize once again, nothing is small or irrelevant. Nothing. Nothing. Everything that comes into our lives is for us if we pay attention. So, on that note, thank you for listening today. I'm Kelly Whetstone. You've been listening to Empowerment here on 1-2 Radio, where we're changing the way that you listen to the world.